My name is Olivia. I am 42 years old. Last year I divorced my husband. I still remember the day very well. I sat in the small office with him. The lawyer spoke in a calm voice. The papers were on the table. My husband signed them first. Then I signed too. My hand was shaking. I felt weak, but also tired. I knew this was the end of our marriage. We walked out of the office. He did not look at me. I did not look at him. We went in different directions. It was the end of 20 years together. My husband's name is Peter. He was not always like this. When we first met, he was kind and warm. He worked hard and he cared for me. We had good days together. We laughed and made plans. Later we had 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl. Their names are Henry and Chloe. For some years, we lived a normal life. We had small problems like other families, but we were happy. Then alcohol entered our home. At first, Peter drank only sometimes. He said it was to relax after work. I did not worry then, but slowly it became more and more. He started to drink every evening. Later, he drank also in the day. He was not the same man anymore. He forgot his promises. He shouted when he was drunk. He lost his job and could not keep money. I tried to help him. I asked him to stop. I begged him to think of our children. I said we can find support, but he did not listen. He said he was fine. He said I was the problem. Many nights I cried alone in my bed. I hoped he would change, but he did not. When Henry and Chloe grew older, they started to see the truth. They saw their father drunk in the house. They saw him sleep all day. They heard him speak loud words to me. I tried to protect them, but I could not hide everything. One evening, Henry said to me, "Mom, why do you stay?" I looked at his young face. He was only 16. I had no answer for him. Life became harder every month. Peter did not bring money home. I worked many hours and tried to pay the bills. Sometimes I asked my parents for help. I felt shame, but I had no choice. Peter sold things from the house to buy alcohol. One day he sold our old television. Another day he took my ring. I felt broken inside, but I still stayed. I stayed because I was afraid. I thought about my children. I did not want them to grow up without a father. I thought maybe tomorrow he would change. I thought maybe if I gave him more time, more love, he would stop. But nothing worked. He only went deeper into alcohol. The house was full of silence and fear. We did not eat together anymore. He ate alone when he wanted. I cooked for the children and tried to make life normal. But the truth was clear. There was no family left. There was only me and the children trying to hold things together. Then one night something happened. He came home very late. He was drunk and angry. He shouted at me in the kitchen. The children were in their rooms, but they could hear. His face was red. His words were cruel. He pushed a chair and it fell. I felt fear in my whole body. I thought, if I stay, things will get worse. That night I decided I would not live like this anymore. The next morning, I called my friend. Her name is Diane. She is also divorced. She listened to me. She said, "You must be strong. You must leave him." Her words gave me courage. That week, I spoke to a lawyer. The lawyer explained everything. I cried in her office, but she was patient. She told me I had rights. She told me I could build a new life. It was not easy. Peter was angry when he learned I wanted a divorce. He said I was a bad wife. He said I wanted to destroy the family. But the family was already broken. I could not live in fear anymore. The divorce took months. Papers, meetings, and many tears. The children were sad, but they also understood. They told me they wanted peace in the house. They said they did not want to see me suffer. Their words gave me strength. When the divorce was final, I felt both empty and free. I had lost my husband, but I had also lost years of pain. I stood alone now, but I was still alive. My children stood with me. They were young adults already. Henry worked in a garage, and Chloe worked in a small office. They did not need me all the time anymore, but they still needed love and sometimes support. I knew I must be strong for them. The first weeks after divorce were strange. I woke up in a quiet house. No shouting, no fear, but also no partner. I felt both relief and loneliness. Sometimes I cried at night. Sometimes I smiled when I looked at the calm room. I was free from alcohol and fights, but I was also alone after many years. I started to meet other women like me. Diane invited me to a small group of divorced mothers. They met once a week in the community center. The first time I went, I was nervous, but the women were kind. They welcomed me. We shared stories, pain, and small joys. Some women had worse stories than me. Some had better. But we all understood each other. I did not feel alone anymore. In those meetings, I learned something. Many divorced women start to drink too when they feel lonely. Some even become alcoholics like their husbands. It shocked me. I knew I must stay away from that path. I had seen what alcohol did to Peter. I promised myself never to follow the same way. I still missed the idea of a husband. Sometimes I looked at other couples and felt sad. But I also told myself, I must first heal. I must first find peace inside. Only then could I think about love again. Before I continue my story, please subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. Life after divorce was not easy. I was free from Peter, but I had to face many new things alone. The bills, the house, and my feelings. At first, it was heavy for me. I woke up early, went to work, and tried to keep everything in order. At night, when the house was quiet, I sometimes sat in the dark and thought about the past. I thought about how life could have been different if Peter had stopped drinking. But then I told myself, I cannot go back. I must go forward. The meetings with other divorced mothers helped me a lot. Every week we came together. We drank tea, talked, and sometimes went for small trips. One time we went to the lake. We walked, laughed, and shared food. I felt like a young woman again. For a few hours, I was not only a mother or a divorced wife. I was simply Olivia, a woman with her own life. The group gave me hope. I listened to their stories. Some of the women wanted to marry again. They dreamed of meeting a kind man and starting a new family. Others said they wanted to stay single forever. They felt more free alone. Each story was different, but all of us understood one thing. Divorce is not the end. Life can begin again. Still, there were hard days. I saw some women from the group start to drink. At first, it was only 1 glass of wine in the evening. Later, it became more. Some of them said they needed it to sleep. Others said it helped them feel less lonely. I watched them and I felt afraid. I remembered Peter's face when he was drunk. I remembered the fights, the broken things, the fear. I told myself, I will never drink again. Not even 1 glass. At home, Henry and Chloe tried to support me. They were busy with their own lives, but they always asked, "How are you, Mom?" Henry fixed things in the house when something broke. Chloe helped me with shopping. Sometimes we ate together on Sunday. They told me about their jobs, their friends, and their plans. I felt proud of them. They were strong and kind. They did not let their father's mistakes destroy their lives. One evening, Chloe came home with a smile. She said, "Mom, you look better now. You smile more than before." I looked at her and felt warm in my heart. She was right. Slowly, I was healing. I was not crying every night anymore. I was starting to enjoy small things again, like walking in the park, cooking simple meals, or talking with Diane. Diane was one of my closest friends now. She often said, "We are not broken, Olivia. We are free women. We can build our own lives." Her words stayed with me. She had divorced many years before me. She knew the road was long, but she showed me it was possible to live again. In the group, I also met new women. One of them was named Carol. She was younger than me, only 35. She had 2 small children. Her husband left her for another woman. She cried often in the meetings. I sat with her and held her hand. I told her, "You are not alone. We are here." I saw myself in her pain. I wanted to give her the same support that Diane gave me. Little by little, my days became more normal. I worked, cleaned the house, and took care of myself. I started to read simple books again. I listened to music while I cooked. These small things felt new and beautiful. For many years, my house was full of stress and fights. Now it was peaceful. Sometimes people asked me if I wanted to marry again. Some of my friends even tried to introduce me to men. I was not ready. I said to them, maybe one day, but not now. I knew some women could not stay alone. They needed someone next to them. But I felt different. I wanted to be strong by myself first. One afternoon, Diane and I went for a walk in the city. We passed by a cafe. Inside, we saw a woman from our group. Her name was Janet. She sat with a man. They looked happy. Diane smiled and said, "Maybe she found love again." I smiled too, but I also felt a small pain in my heart. I asked myself, will I ever find love again? Or will I always be alone? That night I sat by the window and thought. I looked at the quiet street. I told myself, maybe I do not need a man right now. Maybe I need to learn who I am without one. I thought about the years I lost with Peter, years full of shouting and drinking. I said softly to myself, now, it is my time to live. The weeks passed and I felt stronger. I joined more activities with the group. We went on small excursions. Once we visited a museum. Another time we went to the forest for a walk. I loved those days. I felt part of something. I did not feel like a sad divorced woman anymore. I felt like a woman who had survived and was now building something new. At the same time, I learned to say no. Sometimes people asked me to join them for drinks. I always refused. I said, I do not drink. At first, it was hard. Some people did not understand. But I stood firm. I knew that alcohol was not my friend. It destroyed my marriage. I wanted to keep my promise to myself. Henry sometimes worried about me. He said, "Mom, do you feel lonely?" I smiled and told him the truth. Yes, sometimes I do. But I am learning to live with it. I am learning to be strong. He looked at me with respect. I saw pride in his eyes. That gave me more courage. By the end of that year, I felt different. I was not the same woman who cried in the lawyer's office. I was still healing, but I was also moving forward. My heart was lighter. My house was calm. My children were safe. I was building a new life step by step. I knew the road was long. There would be more sad days. But I also knew one thing for sure. I would not go back to my old life. I would not live with fear and alcohol again. I had said goodbye to my husband and also to that life. Now I was saying hello to myself. The new year came and I felt ready for it. I was not the same woman who signed divorce papers in fear. I was stronger now. I had walked through dark days and I had survived. But life was not perfect. Some evenings, the loneliness returned. I looked at the empty chair at the table and felt a hole in my heart. I missed the idea of having a partner, but I did not miss Peter. I missed the dream of a family that alcohol had broken. One cold night in February, I received a call from Carol, the younger woman from our group. She was crying. She said she was alone and could not stop drinking. My heart broke for her. I put on my coat and went to her home. She sat in her kitchen with a bottle on the table. Her eyes were red. She said, "I cannot do this anymore." I sat with her and took her hand. I said, "Carol, look at me. I was where you are now. I lived with alcohol every day. It destroyed my husband. It destroyed my marriage. Do not let it destroy you too." She looked at me with tired eyes. She whispered, "But I am weak." I said, "No, you are not weak. You are hurting, but you can heal. You are not alone. I am here." That night, I stayed with her until morning. I poured the bottle away. We drank tea and talked until the sun came up. She promised me she would try to stop. I promised her that I would walk with her step by step. In that moment, I felt something new inside me. I was not only healing myself anymore, I was helping another woman heal. Helping Carol gave me new strength. I saw that my pain had a purpose. I could use my story to support others. I was not only a victim of a broken marriage, I was a survivor who could guide others out of the dark. This thought gave me peace. The months passed and spring came. The trees grew green again. I walked in the park many mornings. The fresh air and quiet path made me feel alive. Sometimes Chloe came with me. She said, "Mom, you smile more now. You look happy." I smiled back and said, "Yes, I am learning to live again." In our group, I became someone people listened to. New women came with fresh pain. They were lost, just like I had been. I told them, "You are not alone. Divorce is hard, but life continues. You can stand up again." Some women cried when I spoke. Some thanked me later. It was not easy for them, but they saw in me that healing was possible. One Sunday, we planned a small trip with the group. We went to the seaside. The air was cool and the water was calm. We sat on the sand and shared food. We laughed like young girls. For the first time in many years, I felt free. I did not think about the past. I did not think about Peter. I only thought about the moment, the sea, and the women around me. That evening, I walked home alone. I looked up at the sky. The stars were bright. I said to myself, I am enough. I do not need alcohol. I do not need a man to save me. I can live my life as I am. Those words were true. For the first time, I believed them fully. Henry sometimes asked me if I would marry again one day. I told him, maybe, if I meet the right person, but I do not need it. My life is full even now. He smiled and said, I am proud of you, Mom. His words were simple, but they meant everything to me. Chloe also found her own way. She started to study more and wanted to move to another city for work. At first, I felt sad. I thought, what if she leaves me alone? But then I reminded myself, this is life. Children grow, they move, and they live their own stories. My role is to love them, not to hold them. By the end of that year, I looked back at my journey. 1 year before, I was broken and afraid. Now, I was stronger and calmer. I had said goodbye to a painful past. I had said goodbye to alcohol. And I had said hello to myself again. I learned something very important. Life can hurt deeply, but it can also heal. A broken marriage does not mean a broken future. A woman can fall, but she can also stand again. I learned that loneliness does not kill if you fill it with friends, with walks, with laughter, and with small joys. One evening, Diane came to my home for dinner. We ate together and talked. She looked at me and said, "Olivia, you are not the same woman I met 1 year ago. You are stronger now. You are free." I felt tears in my eyes, but they were not sad tears. They were warm. I said, "Yes, Diane, I am free." That night when she left, I sat by the window again. The same window where I once cried alone, but now I felt peace. The house was quiet, but it was a good quiet. I did not feel fear anymore. I did not feel shame. I only felt hope. I do not know what my future will bring. Maybe I will meet someone. Maybe I will stay single. But I know one thing. I will never go back to the life I left. I will never let alcohol rule my house again. I will never lose myself again. We all go through hard times, but stories like this can help us feel seen. Thank you for watching, and come back for more real moments. My name is Juana. I live with my husband Kino and our little baby, Coyotito. We live in a small, poor village near the sea. Our house is made of brush with a roof of dry leaves. It is not big, but it is our home. Every morning when the sun rises, I make a fire and prepare corn cakes for breakfast. Kino sits outside and watches the light come slowly across the sand. The world feels quiet then. The air is soft and the sea is calm. I love those mornings because everything feels simple, safe, and full of peace. Our baby, Coyotito, sleeps in a hanging basket made from a blanket. I often look at him and whisper prayers to keep him safe. Kino loves to sit near him and smile. We are poor, but we are happy. We have enough to eat, and we have each other. That is all we need, I used to think. But one morning changed everything. That morning was bright and beautiful. The sky was blue, and the sun was warm on our skin. I was cooking breakfast when I heard a small sound from Coyotito. He was awake and laughing softly. I smiled and went to him. But then, as I bent over his basket, I froze. My eyes saw something small and moving. On the rope above the basket, a scorpion slowly came down. Its body shined like gold in the sunlight. My heart stopped. I wanted to cry out, but I knew if I shouted, the scorpion might fall on the baby. Kino saw my eyes and turned. He followed my look and saw it too. His face became hard, his muscles tight. Slowly, slowly, he moved his hand toward the scorpion. My mouth whispered a prayer. "Holy Mother, protect us," I said again and again. I hoped my words could keep the scorpion away. But the baby moved his hand and laughed, and the scorpion fell. It landed on Coyotito's shoulder and struck before I could stop it. The baby screamed. I ran and caught him in my arms. My heart was full of fear. A red mark was already growing on his skin. Kino hit the scorpion with his hand until it was a broken shadow on the floor. He stood breathing hard, his face full of pain and anger. I did not care about the scorpion. I cared only for our baby. I took him outside into the sunlight. "We must go to the doctor," I said. "He will help our child." But Kino looked down, and I knew what he was thinking. The doctor never came to our part of the village. He only went to the rich town people, the ones with money and fine clothes. Still, I held Coyotito close and started walking. I would not let my baby die. We went to the town together. The people followed us, whispering. Everyone knew the doctor did not help the poor. But I kept walking. When we reached the doctor's big white house, Kino knocked on the gate. I heard voices inside. A servant came and looked at us. Kino said softly, "Our baby is sick. A scorpion bit him. Please, ask the doctor to come." The servant looked at our clothes and bare feet. Then he went inside. After a few minutes, he came back. His eyes did not meet ours. "The doctor is busy," he said. "He is gone out." But I could hear laughter inside, and I knew he was lying. Kino's face turned red. I saw shame and anger in his eyes. He hit the gate with his hand, hard. Blood came from his knuckles. My heart broke for him. We walked back to the village in silence. When we returned home, I took herbs and pressed them on Coyotito's wound. His crying was weak, but the swelling did not grow worse. I prayed that God would hear us. Kino sat outside, quiet and sad. The sky was still blue, but our hearts were heavy. That afternoon, Kino went to the beach. He took his canoe, the one that came from his grandfather. It was the only thing we owned that had real value. He pushed it into the water, and I climbed in with Coyotito. The sea was calm, shining under the sun. I looked at the water and prayed again for our baby. Kino said, "Maybe we will find a pearl today." He dived into the water with a stone tied to his waist. I waited, holding my breath. I watched the small bubbles rise to the surface. He stayed under for a long time. When he came up, he threw oysters into the canoe. Some were small, some were large. One was very big and beautiful. Its shell was gray, but I felt something special about it. Kino looked at it too. He took a knife and opened the other oysters first. There were small pearls, white and dull. But when he picked up the large oyster, he hesitated. The shell opened slowly, like a secret. I saw his eyes grow wide. A light seemed to shine in them. "Juana," he whispered. "The pearl of the world." Inside the shell was a pearl as big as a bird's egg, round and shining like silver and moonlight together. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Kino held it in his rough hand, and the sun made it glow even brighter. My heart stopped for a moment. I looked at Coyotito, and I saw that the swelling on his shoulder was smaller. I cried softly. "The pearl has saved him," I said. Kino smiled. His face was full of joy, of dreams. "We will be rich," he said. "Coyotito will go to school. We will have new clothes. We will have a real wedding in the church. You will wear a blue shawl." His voice was full of hope. I looked at him, and I wanted to believe. I wanted to believe the pearl was a blessing, a gift from God. The sun shone on the water, and the pearl seemed to hold the whole world inside it. But somewhere deep in my heart, I felt a small fear. I did not know why. Maybe I knew that great beauty can bring great danger. That evening, everyone in the village heard about the pearl. People came to see it. Some smiled, but their eyes were dark with envy. Others whispered in corners. I felt their eyes like sharp stones. I held Coyotito close and whispered, "Please, let this bring us good, not evil." But the night was silent, and the stars looked far away. Before I continue my story, please subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. When Kino found the great pearl, our lives changed, but not in the way we hoped. At first, it felt like a miracle. We sat together by the fire that night, looking at it. The pearl was so beautiful that it almost hurt my eyes. It shone softly, like a small moon in Kino's hand. He looked at it again and again, smiling. I smiled too, but deep inside, something felt cold and strange. The next morning, everyone in the village talked about the pearl. The priest came to visit us. He had never come before. He smiled and said kind words, but his eyes went straight to the pearl. "God has blessed you, my children," he said. "You will remember to thank him, won't you?" Kino nodded, but I saw the priest's face. It was full of hunger, not faith. Then came the shopkeeper. He talked sweetly. He said he could sell the pearl for us in the city. After that came the doctor, the same man who refused to help Coyotito before. Now he came smiling, pretending to care. "I heard the child was bitten," he said. "I came to see him." Kino looked at him with hard eyes, but I said nothing. The doctor looked at our poor house with disgust. He opened his bag and gave the baby some medicine. I did not trust him. When he left, he looked around and asked softly, "And where might this pearl be?" Kino said nothing. The doctor smiled a small, strange smile. Be careful, he said. Sometimes a man can lose what he loves most if he keeps too much treasure. That night, I felt afraid. I could not sleep. I held Coyotito close, listening to the sound of the waves. Kino lay beside me, still awake. Suddenly, I heard a small sound outside. A footstep. Kino jumped up. He grabbed his knife and ran out. I heard a cry in the dark, then silence. My heart beat fast. Kino came back breathing hard. Someone tried to steal the pearl, he said. His face had a small cut. After that night, Kino was not the same. He was always watching, always angry. His eyes moved quickly, like an animal's. When I looked at him, I saw both fear and fire. He began to talk more about the future. We will have a big house, he said. Coyotito will wear fine clothes. He will go to school. He will read books and learn things we never knew. I listened, but I felt tired. I wanted peace, not riches. Kino, I said softly, maybe the pearl is evil. Maybe it will destroy us. But Kino's face became hard. It is our only chance, he said. Our son will have a different life. I will not let this pearl be taken from us. The next day, Kino went to town to sell the pearl. The buyers sat together in a small office. They looked at the pearl but pretended it was nothing special. One man said, "It is too large. It is not perfect." Another said, "It is too soft. I can only pay 1,000 pesos. Kino's face turned red. "It is worth 50,000, he said. They laughed. Kino's hands shook. He knew they were cheating him. He walked out, his eyes full of anger and shame. When we returned home, the people were quiet. Some looked sorry, others smiled secretly. I saw greed in their eyes. I felt the air grow heavy, full of envy. That night, Kino sat by the fire, staring at the pearl. The light danced on his face. "They want to cheat me," he said. "They think a poor man does not know value. I will go to the capital. There I will sell it for its true price." I looked at Coyotito sleeping and felt my heart ache. "Kino," I whispered, "the pearl brings only sorrow. Let us throw it away before it destroys us." He turned to me, his face full of anger. "Do not say that," he said. "It is our future. It is our son's life." That night, I woke to a noise again. Someone was outside the house. Kino ran out with his knife. I heard the sounds of fighting and then a heavy silence. I ran to him. He stood shaking, holding the knife, and there was blood on his arm. I felt sick. "They tried again," he said. His eyes were wild. I begged him. "Kino, the pearl is evil. Let me throw it into the sea before it kills us." I ran to take it, but he caught my wrist roughly. "No," he said. His voice was hard like a stone. "Never." The next morning, I woke early. Kino was still asleep. I took the pearl from its hiding place. It shone in my hand, soft and cold. I walked to the beach. The sea was quiet, the sky gray. I held the pearl high. "Evil thing," I whispered. "Go back to the sea." I wanted to throw it far away, but before I could, Kino was there. He grabbed my arm and pulled me back roughly. I cried, "Kino, please!" But his face was dark with rage. He hit me, and I fell to the sand. For a moment, I lay there crying. I did not know this man. He was not my husband anymore. He was someone else. Someone blinded by dreams. Kino looked down at me, his chest moving fast. Then I saw his face change. He looked sorry, afraid. He said my name softly, "Juana." But it was too late. I stood and walked home slowly, holding Coyotito in my arms. Soon after, Kino came running back, breathless. "They came again," he said. "They attacked me near the boat. They broke the canoe." I felt the world go still. The canoe was everything to us. It was life, food, and future. "Then we must go," I said quietly. "We must run before they kill us." Kino nodded, his face full of pain. When night came, we left our house. The moon was high and pale. Kino carried the pearl hidden in his clothes. I carried our baby close to my heart. We walked silently through the dark paths, away from the village. Behind us, I saw the fire rising. Our home was burning. Everything we had was gone. As we walked into the hills, I looked at Kino and remembered the man he used to be. Gentle, kind, full of laughter. Now his face was hard and tired. The pearl had changed him. It had changed all of us. That night we hid among the rocks. The wind was cold. Kino held the knife in his hand and listened for footsteps. Coyotito slept quietly. I prayed that God would protect us. I prayed that Kino would see the truth. The pearl still lay hidden in his clothes, glowing faintly like a small, cold moon. It was beautiful, but beauty can also destroy. I knew, deep in my heart, that something terrible was coming. We walked all night, far from the village. The sky was full of stars, and the wind was cold. Kino held my hand tightly, and I carried Coyotito close to my chest. He was tired and quiet. I could feel his small breath on my skin. I prayed again and again, not for money or a big house, but only for safety. When morning came, the sun was hot. We reached the dry mountains. Kino looked for a place to hide. He found a small cave between the rocks. "We will rest here," he said. His face was covered with dust, and his eyes looked tired. I gave him water, and we sat together in silence. We thought we were safe. But when the sun began to fall, Kino looked down the path and saw something that made him freeze. "They are following us," he whispered. I looked and saw small shapes moving far away. 3 men. Trackers. One of them had a rifle. They were looking for us. They wanted the pearl. My heart beat fast. Kino said, "We must hide here until night. Then we will go higher." I nodded. I held Coyotito tighter. The baby made a small sound, and Kino turned quickly. "Juana, keep him quiet," he said. "If they hear us, they will kill us." The sun went down, and darkness covered the hills. The trackers stopped below us. We could see their small fire. Kino whispered, "When they sleep, I will go down and take the rifle." I looked at him with fear. "No," I said softly. "Stay here. They will kill you." But he shook his head. "There is no choice," he said. He crawled down slowly into the dark. I stayed in the cave, holding Coyotito. The baby began to cry softly. I tried to keep him quiet, pressing him close to my shoulder. I whispered prayers, but he was hungry, and the sound of his small cry went out into the night. Below, I saw the trackers move. One of them lifted his head. I saw a spark of light. The rifle moving toward our cave. Then came the loud sound of a gunshot. My heart stopped. I held Coyotito tighter, but suddenly everything went still. The baby stopped, moving. I felt something cold and heavy inside me. Then I heard another sound. Kino's cry, sharp and full of pain. He ran up the hill. When he reached me, his face was pale, his eyes full of terror. He looked at me and then at the baby. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then Kino fell to his knees beside me. His knife was red. He had killed the trackers, but it was too late. We stayed there in silence as the night passed. The stars were bright, but they looked cruel. The wind blew gently over the rocks. I felt empty. The world had stopped. When morning came, we walked down from the mountains. Kino carried Coyotito in his arms, wrapped in a small cloth. His steps were slow and heavy. I walked beside him. We did not speak. The world around us was quiet, only the sound of our feet in the dust. When we reached the village, people saw us coming. They stopped what they were doing. No one spoke. The women looked at me with sad eyes. The men stepped back as we passed. They saw the dead baby in Kino's arms, and they knew. We walked through the broken ashes of our home. The walls were black from fire. Nothing was left. Kino stopped near the water where his old canoe had been. The pieces of it still floated near the shore. He stood for a long time, staring at the sea. Then slowly, he took the pearl from his clothes. It still shone in the sunlight, bright and beautiful, like the first morning we found it. I looked at it, and I remembered everything. The joy, the dreams, the fear, the blood. I felt tears on my face. Kino looked at the pearl in his hand. His eyes were full of sadness and hate. "This is the thing," he said softly. "This is what destroyed us." He held it up, and for a moment the light of the sun flashed across its surface like a small fire. Then he drew back his arm and threw it far into the sea. The pearl fell through the air, bright like a falling star. It hit the water and sank. For a moment, I saw its light deep below the waves. Then it was gone. The sea was calm again. We stood there quietly, side by side. Kino still held our baby close, and I touched his arm. We were empty, but somehow still alive. The dreams had died, but the truth remained. We turned and walked away from the water, step by step, into the fading light. The sun went down behind the hills, and the world became soft and gray. I did not look back. The pearl was gone, but maybe, one day, peace would return.